Yeah.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining on this episode of the Values Workshop. You may not be aware of this, but you've been a guest in waiting for more than 6 months now. Renuka had given me your name.
Okay.
For some reason, it didn't work out or something else happened. Then she was asking me, and I said, yeah, I wanted to, but it has never come to that point. But luckily, this time around, I asked for your number, and here we are. Kalyan, welcome to the show. And,
Thank you. Thank you.
A bit of a preamble. The Values Workshop is an initiative where I try and bring values into everyday conversation, so that we give emphasis to thinking about what values we want to espouse, what do we stand for in everyday life. This particular series is called The Vulnerable Me. The idea was during COVID, I found a lot of friends were calling generally and feeling a little low. And I realized they had a lot of stuff bottled inside. And while the Values Workshop conversations have always been about this, but specifically using the word vulnerable and bringing out all kinds of vulnerability, whatever it is, for different people, it is different. So this is what the series is about. Before I ask you a question, would you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, nothing special. Like I love to inquire life and understand nature. So in different variations, the things are being explored. So I think that's it. What extra?
You are the second guest in a row to trip me on that one, because we use that as a handle to ask the next question at least. But now I'm a little more prepared. We had a guest called Deepa last week, I think. And
I know
her episode, she answered something on similar lines. Okay, one question, very quick question. I was thinking while setting this up for our conversation, the light and the laptop and everything. In a life which is so enamored and intrigued and caught up in survival, how does one actually look at what would be seen as an esoteric journey? People would think कि ये तो कुछ खास लोगों के लिए है, इनका पेट भरा हुआ है, इनको कुछ जरूरत नहीं होगा. They may have thoughts like these in your mind. How do you actually walk on the journey of self-exploration or exploring nature or finding your own truth, whatever one wants to call it, in a journey which is actually marked by survival, especially in the kind of country that we live in, the kind of huge middle class that most of us are? How do you get out of the survival mode into exploratory mode?
So if we understand the survival, which we all can understand, because it's not a rocket science at all, so we need very minimum actually, and we have enough capability by default to earn the survivals. The problem happens when we get confused with the while considering luxury as survival. So if we bring that clarity that what is exactly the survival means, so primarily the confusion happens in conventional mindset is the confusion of luxury as survival. Now survival means just these two things, food and shelter, and clothing is another thing, like we may opt some. but not necessarily all the time we need clothing as far as the survival is concerned.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
otherwise, to maintain the norm, tradition, and all, we just exaggerate those survivals into luxury, and we just start claiming those also as survival. So I think there is no challenge in meeting your survival if you understand survival, what it is actually. Everybody of us are capable of earning the survival. Like in any other organism that we see, they
Yeah,
survive. They survive according to their needs. They have the capability to earn it. Earn it, when we say earn it, that's not a conventional earning money and earning the survival. It could be just a co-evolution with which your survival can be met. It's not that you have to specifically earn money to survive.
yeah.
So, which we may
True.
go very deep, but yeah.
Okay. Uh, my understanding reflects the same kind of answer or same kind of journey. There is one question that I have often asked my guests in different ways, is the fact that this kind of inner journey, or rather, you put it very simply, if you understand survival, the problem is that we don't see the difference between survival and luxury to start with. We are so colored by our want or greed or being up with the neighbors and those kind of things that we don't even begin the journey. And if we, some of us do begin the journey, the initial part of the journey is quite challenging because you are breaking the norms of कार होना ही चाहिए, बंगला होना ही चाहिए, बच्चा ये स्कूल में होना ही चाहिए, whatever, ये खाना ही चाहिए. मतलब वो जो चाहिए, जो फिक्स है, उसको जब आप डिकोड करते हो, when you start decoding it, that journey is not very easy to, because people around you are still in that same thing. Your family, your friends, they are still in that zone of, okay, you need to have a good house, good clothes, some vehicle to travel. It makes it easy or stuff like that. How do you go through that initial phase of challenges, of things may not work the way you thought they would immediately? It's a discord between what you are thinking and what the world seems to be offering, or at least people around you are chasing. What are your thoughts on that?
See, on the contrary, I found it very effortless. Mm, because uh, see, what happens, like when you basically caught up in liking and disliking, then you are caught up in appreciating or hating.
Yeah.
So it starts with very small step of liking and disliking, but that goes bigger and becomes appreciation of life. You become a fan of someone, uh, you choose a master or something like that, uh, or you start hating, and both are our own creation, which deplete us, like which is not affecting anything external but affecting us in our sensation, because we keep a we create a benchmark, and then we try to map it with. If it maps, then we appreciate. If it doesn't map, then we hate. In the bargain, we stop exploration. In the bargain, we stop exploration. So if you which we are actually, there is no speciality about it. We all are structured to explore. All organisms structured, they keep on exploring the surrounding. Human being has got a very complex neural structure, that's why explore little deeply, perhaps. We don't know exactly, but perhaps we go little deep in our exploration. But that's okay. Like, exploration is a natural knack. So if you truly sync with this natural knack of exploration, then there is no point of appreciating anything or hating anything. And if you do not have space of appreciation or hating, appreciation, you understand, like the awe I'm talking about, like
Yeah.
the mesmerized, being mesmerized by someone. So if you are not having these two things in your life, then life becomes very effortless, and there is no comparison. Even if people are saying something, so it's their saying, how can it affect me? It cannot affect. It can affect only when I am either appreciating or hating. I start hating what you have told. How dare you told like this? Or I wow, it's great flattery. I'm enjoying, kind of. So if you are in inquiring mode, then these two things never occur. So I found it very effortless. Like you
Okay.
need to ask question endlessly, and that asking question means it's a questioning knack. It's not a list of questions that I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay, I still want to probe this further.
Yes.
This journey of self-exploration as forces one to acknowledge one's fears and doubts at different times. Something deep that we may have uh, lived in a particular way for the entire lifetime. So today, if I am a certain age, I have lived this many years in a certain style. And when I start this journey, again, comparing it with what you call effortless and what I, for want of a better term, continue to call it effort sheerly because we are trying to learn something at that point of time. If this mindset that you said exploration is there, then there is no fear. I am a creative writer, so I know exactly what you're speaking of. But a lot of people like structure and ready-made answers in textbooks and videos, and somebody has got to tell them this is how it works. So they love this structure, and when that structure doesn't perform according to their past experience, if I were to call it that, they find it brings a certain sense of fear and doubt. What do you have to say about the fear and doubt? Because effortless or effort is one part, but the effort is actually Bunty is fighting Bunty because now he is trying to accept, and sometimes internally he is unable to accept because there is this parameter of something that he didn't realize that he had. So if I am talking to you, suppose I expected a certain kind of conversation and it doesn't turn out like that. And it has happened on the chats once or twice, very rarely in the 100 odd chats I have had or more. Very rarely it has happened, but sometimes it is suddenly not the kind of answers that I seem to want. Then, but I have to, calm down is the word that I'm using. I just calm down and I try and accept the situation. That okay, this is what the situation is. This is what the person is trying to say. Now let me acknowledge this fact that this person is about this mindset. Let me explore that with him or her, whoever it is. Now between this tug of war, luckily I am used to this and I try and just wait for things to resolve themselves sometimes. How do you expect most people to understand this fear and doubt, or what are your thoughts on? Do you understand the question? I'm talking about the unease before the ease. You're talking about a solution. When I'm talking to you, I feel a very nice sense of, oh, this person understands the ease that he's talking about. But there are days when it is not as easy. Something perturbs you. Something seems unfair. How does one deal with those kind of situations on that particular day, or what is the mindset? What is the way of looking at things? Exploring, I understand, but along with exploring, there will be other things that come which you either prepared for or you are not open to accepting. How does that work?
So, see, the exploration is not about a preparation. When we prepare, that time we have a goal in mind to reach.
Yes.
Exploration is not about preparation. So that's one thing, one clarity one must have when looking at life. So the root cause of all the confusions, all the psychotic so-called problems that we term is this conclusion. the purpose, the goal we set to reach there. So actually in life, there is no purpose. It's just all stories that we are fed and we believed. The life flows, just flows. Now, the moment we try to believe or instill a belief that I have a purpose in my life, the problem starts at that very moment. Now, if I can understand this thing, then it drops immediately, instantly. There is no reduction approach or replacement approach of it. That you replace this goal with that goal, or you reduce the habit of formation of goal. It doesn't work that way. If you understand the depth of it, that in your journey of exploration, there cannot be a stoppage that I have reached here. There's no point that you have reached and you will call it you succeeded it or you failed it. These all conclusions that we make all, so that lead us to the confusion, perhaps. That's
so
what.
beautiful. This is very beautiful what you answered. One little thought I wanted to explore. You use the word understanding very, very, very easily. There are enough number of people who are struggling with the same kind of questions and who perhaps are not arriving at the kind of answers you got. Not necessarily because there is a comparison here. I'm just saying that on this journey of self-exploration, since there is no textbook, you can live it your way, I can live it my way. I think if there is a criteria at all, is trying to be equanimous or accepting of whatever is coming to us in terms of studying it further. Like you said, there's no end to the exploration. But let me put down in a practical way this question that I have in mind. So suppose I have a young daughter who's in school. So at least there is a purpose that she has to finish school. For whatever it is worth, there is a society that we are all part of. There are certain things that are happening. There are certain alternative ways of living, obviously. Now, sometimes the alternatives themselves are just variations of the mainstream format. And because at least for me, I can speak, sometimes I cannot process so much at one go. I would want my life to be simple, the way people are saying it's बच्चे को schooling कराया तो ठीक है, so I will not question further. I don't put too much pressure. I keep telling her, chill, whatever your results are, just learn and get into the habit of learning about a certain subject. And certain minds before us have studied these subjects. They have a few patterns of thought. Just look at what the subject is about. So this is what is science, this is what is English, this is what is Marathi, Hindi, this is how grammar works. These are basic certain things that we can look at as a subject of inquiry. Once you've learned the basic of it, I'm not really bothered about your result or any such thing. We'll figure out as life comes along. Now, but there is still a purpose that she has to finish school, or she has to go to college, or she has to study this further. Or in some cases where people don't study further, so they join family business or something. There will always be some purpose. How do you qualify what you said, that there is no purpose to life?
Yeah, so now if we just go a little deeper about understanding what is the purpose that we were discussing about, the purpose that we were discussing about is a very sensation that we create for ourselves, within ourselves.
Okay.
Now, let me clarify this. Like, there is a difference between a selection and a choice. A selection and a choice.
Okay.
Now, what is that? Selection is a physical aspect. Suppose you have a few options in front of you, and one of the options you have selected, but you are not attached to that option. If the other option you could have selected, that's also equally okay for you. Just
Okay.
for that moment, you have just picked up that option.
Okay.
So you are not forming a sensational relation with that particular selection. Now, choice is something which actually you attach to, and you consider that this is the choice. This is the option. Without this, the life is going to be shattered. Now, this is an imagination. There is nothing in life without which life cannot move. There is nothing. A few survival things that also we have a lot of options like mangoes in summer and oranges in winter. So it's not that you have to depend on mangoes to survive. So there are in nature you will find a lot of options coming up, and you will just attach to it for timing as far as the selection is concerned. So coming back to our core discussion about the purpose. Now the purpose is something which is connected to the choices. Now, if we, for the lack of proper words, suppose if we use the word mission, momentarily you picked up a mission, and you are okay to drop it at any point in time. You know that life is not going to be stopped if you drop that mission. You have just picked up, and like for that matter, for example, today we set up a time and we'll connect together. So that can be called as a mission. Suppose it didn't happen. It doesn't matter to you, doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Actually, the life is not going to be stopped. So if we can understand this thing at the deeper level, the beauty of the life, the actual beauty of the life is not having any fixation whatsoever. Then the things will go at the surface level. The things will go as it was going on, but at the internal level, at the sensational level, you are a free person. You are not driven by any attachment. So that becomes your journey very meaningful. And another example that I would like to share, like the other day I was conversing with a few youngsters, and they were talking about the positive mindset and all this stuff. So some book they were mentioning, that in which the negative mindset of I cannot should be replaced with I can.
Okay.
So the negative mindset replacing with the positive mindset. So they were saying that this is a very valid proposal. It works for the visualization, positive affirmation, and all those terminologies that we are fed into. So then I asked them that if suppose I fed myself with the I can, and actually I cannot. Actually, the fact is I cannot something whatsoever. Then how do I meet that situation with the mindset of I can and the reality of I cannot? How do I meet these two?
Yeah.
It is going to be a shattering state of that individual who has fed him with I can. So for an example, if we can just look at the phenomena of can or cannot, that I'm curious to know if I can do it. I'm curious to know, I'm inquisitive to know if I can do it. And if I can do it, then what next? If I cannot do it, what next? So it's an area of inquisition, it's an area of exploration of life, which frees the individual from any expectation, any negative thinking, or so-called positive thinking. Because positive thinking is a masked negative thinking, nothing extra. So that way, if we keep on exploring the life, then these all also may carry on the school examination, all those dramas, but you are not attached to it. And sometime in a longer run, it will be dropped on its own. And that can happen at any moment. It doesn't matter.
Okay, one quick smaller question. Do you ever get disappointed with anything?
I don't remember. I think never, like it's, there is no expectation, so there is no disappointment.
I just wanted to clarify because a lot of my guests would be thinking that I seem to agree on everything. I wanted to throw a spanner in the works for a little, because what is evolving is such a beautiful exploration, and a lot of I have heard this from a few friends of mine that, oh, it's easy for you. I think it's not about easy or difficult. It's a, like you said, you anyway made a difference between choice, but I think everything is a choice if you're willing to take responsibility for it, but keeping a mindset of exploration always. That you're choosing to go take arts instead of science. Then while working up, like I was an engineer once, and I was a bad engineer because I just didn't like the subject, and I went through a lot of hell. And after doing it, I worked for 2 years. After that, I realized that people paid for writing. And the first time I got paid for writing, I was laughing like a madman on the road. I thought, people pay for this. Are they mad or what? How can you be paid for this? And I was actually from, there is this road which runs parallel to the VT station in Bombay. And I was walking that entire stretch of the road, and I'm laughing and I'm looking at people. You guys are mad. Look at this. I got paid for this. And I got paid quite well in those days. I was making what, 650 rupees was my salary, and I got 250 rupees in one something that I wrote. And I'm like, wow, this is like for free. And then the journey as a writer, okay, this is what happens. And obviously there are ups and downs, like in every life. You discover something, then you realize that you don't like this part, you want more challenging subjects within the writing realm. Then something. So things like those happen. But that exploration as a creative person, I realized that there is this joy of not knowing what you're going to do. In my job, it's fairly easy because say tomorrow you become a client and you come and give me something to write, and if I'm accepting, both of us are accepting the job on the decided term, I realize that I don't know anything. It always starts on a slate of, oh my God, I've never done anything like this and I don't think I can do this. And I'm okay to have that thought. I'm like, okay, let's, in fact, last week itself, now I have been 25 years in advertising writing. I got a job that I had no idea of. And when I finished that call, I answered it very confidently. And then I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. This is quite difficult. So let it just be there. It will run at the back of my mind. Something will sort itself out. I just know what I need to do, like what are the guarantees that I need to give you 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, whatever deliverables. That's all. So that I am clear what the job is. But I may not know what I need to do, or creatively what is the solution. And I just leave it there. And I keep thinking. Maybe talk to you if you are a friend, like, I'm working on this. What do you have to say? Or just normal talk. And suddenly something out of the blue will come and I will have my answer. And I'm like, wow. So I used to have this line, I am only my first reader. I'm never the writer. Because I also got exposed to that line or that thought as astonishingly, as awestruck, as touched. Because I didn't know where it came from. I have just worked, obviously, over the years, I have worked on my language, read a lot of books, tried to get a hand of what any subject is about. Or when you brief me, I try and read up on that. But that's all I can do. I can't guarantee you that I'm going to give you this. I don't have any guarantees. And I live with that guarantee-less life. Although my livelihood depends on it. So my question to you, again, so many people fear this space. How do you arrive at, how did you particularly arrive at? So if you had to personalize this, it can't be an easy journey, if I were to say so, because initial learnings are always from others. As a kid, somebody tells you what to do, school tells you what to do, college or whatever. People keep on imposing their version of the world or their version of how things work. and you are ready to take it. So when did Kalyan decide, no, I want to explore this on my own? This doesn't seem to work the way they are saying. What happened? Or this is just for our viewers to know that there was a journey behind this ready-made Kalyan that they are seeing right now with the answers. Do you want to talk a little about that journey of yours?
Yeah, first of all, I would I'd like to question that is there at all something called arrival? How do you arrive at, you ask that question? So there is nothing called arrival. First of all, if this journey of continued self-exploration, if we are to describe, this is very much natural. It's nothing exclusive happening to Kalyan or anybody else who is sharing, suppose that he or she is in the journey of exploration. This is nothing exclusive. This is there in everyone, not only human being but others also, like other organism also. That exploration journey is very much ingrained, innate, and structural. Like it is driven by the respective structure of the organism. According to that, they execute the exploration. But this exploration is nothing to be learned specially and to happen somebody exclusive, somebody special. So what happens could be the decluttering of the extra baggages, that is knowingly unknowingly put, traditionally, culturally, whatsoever. Now, so that gets dropped when you realize that this is the actual life. The life of exploration is the actual life. When you realize that, then the rest of things actually instantly get dropped. So if you are saying that particular point, so now this is also another confusion that may occur, that am I talking about a point, specific point of, or a moment of that dropping?
Yeah.
So it's an instantaneous, it is not an instant or a moment, but it's an instantaneous process, which is a continued journey. So I'm not sure if I could clarify that it's not a particular moment.
Can I try explaining if I understood it correctly? That means instant after instant you are arising at that and it's dropping, arising at that, dropping. It's a continuous sense of learning for yourself. Is that what you mean?
So that, yes. So that dropping, arising and dropping, the difference between the time interval between the arising and dropping is reducing day by day, perhaps physically, but it is every sensation that is occurring out of imagination. Like fear, for example. Fear is an imagination. Fear doesn't have any existence. It is out of an imagination we create for ourselves. It's a sensation that we create for ourselves out of an imagination, out of an idea. And that the same goes for the achievement, sense of achievement, all those dramas. So now the moment you realize the journey of exploration, then this rising of the sensation and dropping of the sensation, the time interval between these two things will keep on reducing, and which will be very minuscule, slowly and gradually.
Okay.
As if it doesn't arise.
As if it doesn't. Okay.
Yes.